How you doing?
Sorry, good to see you.
Winter and then spring's always.
Exactly.
On Sunday. I was trying to find locations to host things. It's good. I was at it. Yeah, because there's another one called Virginia Aspiring Superintendent's Program, Virginia Tech join us.
I think we were driving.
Retirees.
Good morning and welcome to members of the Virtual Learning Advisory Committee, VLAC, and we thank you for taking this time from your schedules to participate in the meeting. Virtual learning and online professional development continues to be a rich and important part of our education opportunities for both students and educators. We appreciate your work as a committee and for you to help to promote and implement these goals, increasing student engagement and choice, supporting personalized learning experiences for students, and increasing access to high-quality learning experiences. We look forward to you sharing and having some rich discussion today and engagement. We have snacks in the back for you and water available. The facilities are in the main hallway and to your left. At this time, I would like for you to introduce yourselves, and I'll just call a region and we'll or organization, and we will go around the room. Many of the Virginia Department of Ed staff you will meet because most of us are coming to the podium to present. So I'll reserve waiting to introduce VDOE staff and allow them to introduce themselves. So Region 1, we have a representative.
Oh, Chester, good morning. I'm Ernie Longworth, Director of Instructional Innovation.
Region 2, Region 3, and 4. 5.
5 is a winner. Tom Lundquist from Stanton City Schools.
All right.
I'm the Director of Technology.
6.
Thinking that's you. So you're 7, yeah, 7.
7.
Hi, Lincoln Whitaker, Pulaski County, Director of Technology.
And 8.
Robbie Mason, Superintendent, Charlotte County Schools.
All right, VSBA.
Rodney Jordan, representing VSBA.
And VAS
Amy Griffin, representing VAS.
and WHRO.
Mitzi Fell-Seward, I'm Vice President of Digital Learning.
Did I forget anyone? And of course, Virtual Virginia.
Brian Mott, Virtual Virginia.
All right, thank you again for being here. And I would like to introduce Dr. Michelle Wallace, our Assistant Superintendent of Instruction.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome. Thank you for coming and serving on the Virtual Learning Advisory Committee. For those of you who don't know, this committee has been around since 2014 to advise the department on various virtual opportunities, both for educators as well as students across the Commonwealth. We provide online courses, professional learning for teachers, and strategic planning on virtual and blended learning opportunities. We appreciate you taking time out of your day, particularly those of you who had to drive far to get here, and spending some time with us this morning as we look at what we have offered for teachers and staff over the last year. As we are looking to improve areas of virtual learning for students in Virginia, your feedback is vital to these efforts. Today, the group has planned some engaging activities to get you involved in seeing what virtual learning might look like for students across Virginia, and also getting your feedback from your school divisions on how is it going and what can we do to improve those virtual opportunities for both teachers as well as our students. Today's meeting is focused on our Virginia Educational Technology Plan, which was updated in December 2023. And so I think you have a copy of that in front of you. If you don't, Calypso can get you a copy of that. We look forward to your feedback today and just welcome and thank you again for coming the distance to Richmond. At least you did not have to travel downtown directly. Hopefully you got to skirt around downtown and didn't have to deal with parking, and you have nice parking out here. So thank you, Virginia staff, for setting this up in this nice facility.
Thank you, Dr. Wallace. I am Calypso Gilstrap, the Associate Director of the Office of Educational Technology and Classroom Innovation. And I am going to talk to you guys about the Virginia Educational Technology Plan. We hope that you are familiar with it. We also hope that you have worked in your own school divisions on your own, as it is the season, and this is the first year of our new plan. So we provided a copy for you. If you don't have a copy, just flag me down and we'll get it for you. And this is the Virginia Educational Technology Plan. It can also be found on the Virginia Department of Education website for those of you who are watching at home. The first educational technology plan was adopted in 1989. We are first. It was recommended by the Governor's Commission on Excellence in Education. The pillars of this plan are access, use, and design. Access strengthens connectivity, devices, digital content, and digital safety. Use promotes leveraging technology to create innovative pathways to deeper personalized learning. And design implements instructional design to ensure connection across the standards of learning, leading to workforce readiness. Today's agenda is guided by these three pillars. So we're going to start with access. You guys want to make yourself familiar with the access pillar and also the tenets. We'll be able to go over all the things today. So instead, we are just going to be focusing on 1.2, which is to extend broadband services to unserved and underserved areas. I should know that better. First, I want to introduce, though, Diane Carnahan. She is our Virginia Department of Education Information Security Officer, and Dr. John Mustachio, who is our VDOE E-rate coordinator. Their roles are responsible for the access pillar of the Virginia Department of Education Educational Technology Plan. For this particular tenet, we're going to talk about VDOE collaborating with the Department of Housing and Community Development to extend broadband services to every house in the Commonwealth, especially teachers and students' homes. Today, we're going to actually be doing some hands-on learning with our website called Commonwealth Connection. So if you have a device, we would love for you to be able to go navigate there. It says commonwealth-connection.com. So if you have a device, I have some helpers who might get up and help us navigate to that website. Sorry, let me see. Should I move it so we can see it? I don't know if there's a way to, it's commonwealthconnection.com. You can just see if we get it. You can also probably just Google Virginia broadband map and get there. So the map that I have taken a screenshot of, that purple circle is us at our location right now. And according to our broadband service providers, the green dots are places that have internet access that is broadband level. And the red dots are places that do not have broadband access. So that just, they could have internet access, but it does not meet the criteria of broadband access. So you can go explore your own community. You can look at your own house. There's also you can go look at your own schools. We are also working with our student record collection. There is a question in the student record collection about whether you have internet access at your home. So we are working with the Department of Housing and Community Development to connect those student record collections with the internet provider map. So we're kind of doing some, like if a parent says, I don't have internet access at home, and the internet provider says you do have internet access, kind of trying to see where we're at on those things. Does anybody need help finding the website? We're getting there.
So the red means that they don't. That's why. Yeah. That's why I live right there, see, red.
So the orange color that we're seeing.
Yep. Those are underserved. And unserved is a different color, like that means there's no internet access in that community. But underserved is usually there is internet access in that home or entity, but it is not broadband, meet the definition of broadband access. Which is, maybe my E-rate coordinator will know, it's a certain number, it's like it's on the website, I know for sure, it's like 30 megabytes per second is the definition of broadband.
Delineated by megabits per second.
Yeah, so there's a technical definition. So the red circles are do not. So what's interesting is, so this is where we're at. This is Freeman High School. The houses that are right next to Freeman High School are underserved.
Courthouse.
This is Ridge Elementary School and Tuckahoe Middle School. So it's kind of interesting to see that even though we are in the middle of Henrico County with excellent broadband service and access, that we still have students that don't have access in their home. And then me, as a former teacher who had to work during COVID, sitting in a parking lot trying to connect with my students, that is also a concern of VDOE, is that it's not just about students not connecting to the internet, but our actual workforce is not able to connect to the internet to deliver virtual learning in Virginia. Is there any other discussion about the Commonwealth Connection? Are you seeing in your own communities?
I'm curious as to the divisions, what you're seeing as far as connectivity in your region or division. Still very scattered.
Okay, 7 and 8, this is your chance to like really speak up.
We've got some slivers,
Highway doesn't have this.
but it's, and they're mostly in the population areas, but the folks who are definitely out in the more truly rural areas.
Yeah, Amy and I are from the same area. So what I'm seeing is where the towns are, there's broadband.
Yeah.
But out in the rest of the county, it's blank.
Like when Nottaway Courthouse is, it's green, but where I live, just behind it, just right behind it, it's all red.
So our goal with the Commonwealth Connection collaboration is that you should be able to go back to your local community, who should be working with the BEAD program to make sure there's shovels in the ground. They are literally putting in broadband access on every public road. And the goal is to get it to connect it by 2027. So this year's kindergartners should have internet access with broadband connection in their home by 5th grade. So please, I would love it if you guys go back to your community and talk to your county supervisor. And also point out anything that's wrong about the map. This is a conversation starter in your own community to say like, hey, that's my house and it says it's green and I am definitely not green. Or there is definitely misinformation because I do have Wi-Fi in my house and it watch Netflix just fine, but it says that I'm red. So that is the starting point for this. So here are some things that we know are true.
That's what I was gonna ask. It could be that it's just not showing, like, if you have, like, someone just chose not to.
So this is access, the information came from the internet service provider.
Okay.
So Comcast, Verizon, they're the ones
Saying
telling
that
us that
there's,
they
you know-
have provided service to this home.
Okay.
And it looks like you can change it, like,
Like I have access and it
Well-
says I don't.
You can also.
well,
add a-
like the broadband coverage and then the layers of access, because when I played around with some of the, like if at least one address has it, then it'll show a wider range that has it versus
Just
just 80%. Or you can do 95% or 85%.
I know you can also, from that home internet connection, run a speed test, which that data is given back to the map then. So you can test it that way. Did you have a comment?
Just maybe a question. I know that this is under
I can't on my phone.
going around access and in particular, looking at the support from the Department of Housing and Community Development. There's access and then there's adoption.
Mhm.
So is there, and I know there's a use goal, but from the from the connectivity with the community to the school, can you just kind of share what some of the adoption pieces are or where they fit in the plan?
From the, so every school in Virginia already has broadband access.
Yes.
So this is, the goal is to have it go into the homes. And you're talking about the disconnection between,
Right, so.
how is the school helping with the?
Right, so, just with back, I worked on the national broadband map and have some background, so there's, it's like in my area, over time, I've done a lot of things with WHRO. So WHRO, because of the content, the services that they have in the community, how they come out and do different things, people may have access, but they may not necessarily understand or appreciate the relevancy and how to connect it to the school and the home. And so that content piece takes the access to adoption and usage.
Yeah.
And so I was trying to get an understanding in the plan, is there something that speaks to strategies and goals around how we enhance the adoption access in the community, in the home, that connects to the learning that's happening in the school?
Yeah, that's an excellent question. And yes, that's addressed a little bit more in the use part of this. And also we're working very closely with the Department of Housing and Community Development on how to connect with the provider. So that, our goal is to use the school record collection and also our ITRT network and technology network to communicate the Commonwealth Connection program to our schools so that people are first aware on whether they have broadband access in their community or not, and what is the BEAD program doing in their local community. And then hopefully in the next 2 years, then we start talking about, okay, now you have access, what does that look like for use? And making sure our families are aware of the virtual learning programs and our statewide learning management system and those type of things. So I think we have been so focused on schools having access and becoming one-to-one that we are now that's been tipped over. What's next? And I think also the third part of the plan, instructional design, is our new tenet. We've been working on use and access for a while, where we're now thinking school divisions kind of need to step back and think intentionally with what technologies are we adopting? How does that work inside of our infrastructure? How does that work with cybersecurity, internet access? How does that work at school and also at home? We're worried about digital wellness and screen time and blended learning and those caveats too in the plan. So yes, we know that's a balance. All three, use, access, and design go together. So hopefully, but we will definitely put that onto our notes that we are going to work explicitly to communicate better with our families. We also have a new Office of Family Engagement. And I think that is a good project for us to collaborate on, is talking about how do we get internet providers and families and schools to work together to make sure everybody has access at home. That's a great notion. So, all right, well, that might lead to our discussion. Great segue. Thank you so much. So these are things we know for sure. We have broadband access in every school. We have Wi-Fi capabilities in every school. Every student has been assigned a device to use in school. Some school divisions allow students to take devices home, some don't. We know that every school has access to the statewide learning management system, Virtual Virginia and MOP. Every school division has E-rate and VPSA funding. Every educator has access to high quality professional learning and instructional materials. Every 1,000 students has an ITRT and technology support person, but that still leaves a gap of access. So we would love to hear your conversations. Mr. Fox here is going to lead us in a discussion to talk about our tenet of access and how we can support virtual learning in Virginia. So this is your chance to tell us the truth and give us some ideas and initiatives that we can work on to help you. Thank you. Go ahead, Reggie.
Oh, wait.
I'm not. I know.
So let's continue that conversation that Rodney started. What other things or opportunities that we have in our schools that we can, when we say access, we're rich in schools with technology. What other things that, it's not just hardware we're talking about. Could be software, could be expansion of online courses, it could be dual enrollment, it could, So what are some other things that you might have in your technology plan that we haven't thought of or that we haven't listed or verbalized today? Even with our organizations, I know that you have some tenets of technology, strategies, and goals. So, Mitzi, I don't want to put you on the spot, but connecting.
Everybody's going to.
But the way that we use WHRO to connect with the schools, what are some things that what are some ways we use technology to make that connection?
Oh, my word, are we gonna stay here all day, Reggie? So, I mean, I think especially at our organization, again, we're a unique, organization as in we're owned by 21 school divisions. So let's be clear that it's a unique, situation that we have with this organization. So it allows us to work closely with school divisions, not just in our region, but of course across the Commonwealth. So, we're doing a lot in the field of, we're kind of crossing over, but because we have such a rich access available to us in our schools and our students, we're really focused a lot on the content and on the training and what we can do to really close that gap, not just that it's in their hands, but how do you use things effectively? What are some options that how you can use the technologies, and not just what we have, but what we're building and where we're going with technology. So, I mean, that's really a lot of our focus, whether it's through trainings, whether it's through, ITRT, like tech summits that we're doing, like trying to really be boots on the ground to work with teachers and school divisions and our administrators, because we work with our superintendents so closely, and trying to listen, what are their needs, and then what can we do to help that, and then spread that out. That's really, the way we tackle, any type of problems I think that come to us. And so we use every technology that we have available, and those that are, like I said, our world's changing, right? So what can we do to be ahead of that? And what are those things that we need to be providing to teach, first our teachers, but for our students, to raise them to be digital citizens and, have academic integrity and honesty and, and use these great resources. But for their future, that is going to be so different than what it is today. So,
And you bring a good point to the table, because we're talking about, like I said, not only hardware, software, apps, but you talked about training and professional development, because we want to have every staff member have the opportunity for professional learning as well. And you'll see later in this presentation how important that virtual landscape is to make connections to our educators. So I know that we've already talked a little bit about how the agency can address that, but just know that if we think of other ways that the agency can support you in your organizations, even organizations making connections, as well as the school divisions, we will continue this conversation today and make note of that. So let's continue with the next tenet.
Thank you. Okay, so let's go back to our overall plan. And the next area we're going to dive into is use, which is kind of where we already started talking about, is how we have this access now. How are we going to use it? So I'd love to bring up Dr. Meg Foley, our virtual learning coordinator, as you probably all know and love, and Dr. Brian Mott, the executive director of Virtual Virginia, who will be leading us through use. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. It is so nice to see you all again in person. Thank you for taking the time to be here. I think everyone knows me, Meg Foley, Virtual Learning Coordinator. Virtual learning is an integral part of the use tenet of the state educational technology plan. 2.4 highlights the importance of enhancing availability, accessibility, and quality in virtual learning opportunities for students and educators alike. There are 4 specific areas of consideration within section 2.4. The first relates to our statewide LMS. The second involves the expansion of effective virtual learning programs. The third involves focus on the design and implementation of data-focused professional learning on virtual education best practices for enhanced student outcomes. And the final area calls for providing resources to aid students and their families as to virtual learning and virtual learning experiences. So at this time, I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Brian Mott, our Executive Director of Virtual Virginia, and he's going to discuss more about the Area A, which is the statewide learning management system. Thank you. Get this for you.
Yeah, thank you. Good morning. Part of the technology plan involves providing a statewide LMS to school divisions, all educators, all students having access to the statewide learning management system for free. One of the beautiful things about our statewide LMS in Virginia is it's designed so you spend less time using it. Imagine a product that actually is created so you spend less time engaging with. If you spend more time than you find yourself needing to be in the LMS, you're doing it wrong. It's designed for efficiency. It's designed to make teaching and learning more efficient, to improve access, and to bring it all together in a space where students, educators, and other education professionals in the Commonwealth have access to high quality resources from any place at any time. Did that make sense what I said? They designed it so we spend less time using it, right? So think about the things you're doing great. Let's go back to access again. Think about all the things your divisions or your institutions are doing well. You don't want to duplicate that. You want to make that more efficient. So how you can complement what you're doing is use the learning management system, use programs like Virtual Virginia, or if you're in Chesterfield, use Chesterfield Online as a student or a teacher. Leverage those resources to make what you're doing more efficient and more rich for your students, for the learners that are involved in the program. The map you see before you is a map of our K through 12 instruction participation map. So essentially, we have over 80% of divisions participate in Virtual Virginia every year. Every year. Sometimes it's above 90. In fact, we'll share some data with you in just a bit from 21, 22. It was everybody. Essentially, though, students have access to these resources, to our teachers within these divisions. They may have the class offered locally, but they may need a flexible schedule. They may need another time to meet with that class. They may need to take the class asynchronously, and that's not available locally with an in-person teacher. So we see a lot of use of Virtual Virginia in our program, the statewide LMS, on top of that across the state. If I could show you the statewide LMS map, it would be every division. Every division has access to the statewide LMS right now. Varying levels of adoption. In some divisions, they've got it tied to their SIS, they have it tied to their buses, so it's all talking to each other when students are present, where they are, what they're accessing. In some divisions, they have it ready and they're ready to turn it on whenever they need it. So everybody has it. Some divisions are off and running with the statewide LMS, and some are just beginning that exploration or using another resource, and they're going to phase it in over time. So we're excited to see that. As we know that use is a big part of the technology plan, a statewide LMS is a critical resource as part of that use. It's about connecting teachers and students to resources and making it as efficient as we possibly can. Any questions about the statewide LMS? I know that was about 4 or 5 years ago where it really took off. Any questions about the current state of the statewide learning management system or the adoption levels across the state?
Yeah, just any outlook on how long it's going to be around with confidence. We purchased it on our own at some point in time, and our RFP cycles coming around, and I'm not concerned if it's going to be around through the state, but I am concerned if at some point it's not. So how much lead time would we have?
Canned answer.
Right.
Currently funded through FY26. We do anticipate funding beyond that as the program continues to be popular and used amongst schools and students. But like everything, it's funded through FY26 at this point. And if you have any more questions about the LMS or our K through 12 program, we'll jog through some more data here in just a bit.
Please take a moment and you can look at the text to review area 4B. During the pandemic, use of technology in teaching and learning expanded exponentially. We all know that. Currently, we are refocusing on intentional use that focuses on personalization and flexible options. Both our Virtual Virginia program and the multi-division online provider program have witnessed growth over the past several years, in part due to the pandemic, but also due to the increased desire of many of our students and our families to acquire virtual learning experiences rather than the traditional brick and mortar. Due to the inherent flexible nature of virtual learning, personalization of a student's educational experiences can be maximized and voice and choice can be increased. As noted earlier in the presentation, the expansion of the multi-division online provider program is specifically noted as a strategy tied to the use tenet 2.4. Inasmuch the virtual learning team is dedicated to its oversight and enhancement of the program. Historically, we provided a data snapshot for you, our Virtual Learning Advisory Committee, and these metrics are derived from the original board-approved MOP window, which, as you know, begins January 1st and runs for 30 calendar days. As you can see, we've had one newly approved MOP, the Virtual Learning Academy, and one veteran MOP, Middleton Academy, has indicated they will be closing their school August 1st of this year. You can see other metrics there available for you. The State Educational Technology Plan specifically calls for the expansion and use of effective virtual learning programs. And it is critical that the curriculum utilized with Virginia Public School students is up to date and highly correlated to the most recent standards of learning. Therefore, to remain in line with brick and mortar standards, implementation requirements, the virtual learning team has scheduled additional submission windows this year for both math and English language arts. During the math submission window, which just closed, 82 additional math courses were submitted, and correlation review and approval of courses is currently being undertaken. As the 2024 English standards are now board approved, with an implementation year of 2024-25, the MOP will have the opportunity to submit new correlation reports for the ELA courses and also indicate which approved VLA curriculum will be utilized for the K-5 courses in June. Now that I've provided some updates on the MOP program, let me turn it back over to Dr. Mott for some additional Virtual Virginia information.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Foley.
You're welcome.
At Virtual Virginia, I referenced earlier, we have a couple of programs. We have a statewide learning management system. We make that available to the Commonwealth. We also have our K through 12 instruction program. This is the backbone of Virtual Virginia. This is when most people think about Virtual Virginia. This is what comes to mind. And what this is K through 12 instruction offered across the Commonwealth, no barriers. If you want to come enroll in your first AP class at Virtual Virginia, go to your school, enroll in that course. And essentially, as mentioned, going to the school, Virtual Virginia works in a partnership with schools, each doing what we do best. At Virtual Virginia, we provide access to content, resources, and that teacher in their learning environment. The school does what they do best. They provide student services and 2 individuals at the school, at least 2 actually, a counselor and a mentor, and any textbooks and materials required to complete that course. And this model has been the model for 40 years. This is the 40th year of Virtual Virginia. It's been an effective model, some tweaks along the way. We've learned quite a bit in the last few years exclusively, but largely this model has been successful. We're trying to create the environment where any learner in Virginia can be successful learning online. And I don't think any of you are new to Virtual Virginia, so I'm going to move to the next slide. Just wanted to reiterate how the relationship does work. Here I mentioned some data we were going to be sharing, and I will have you first focus on 21-22, that 29,710 students. We had a coverage map up earlier that showed the divisions that are using Virtual Virginia. I think it's about 90% of divisions this year. That was 100%. Every school division in the Commonwealth used Virtual Virginia in 21-22. Some other unique data to look at is the percentage of part-time and the percentage of full-time. What we mean by that is, am I taking all of my courses online through Virtual Virginia, or am I a student in a building taking 1 or 2 classes through Virtual Virginia? Look at this year. Largely those numbers did move a bit, but still over 80%, 4 and 5 students that enroll in Virtual Virginia are taking from a building. They're taking 1 or 2 classes. What we mentioned earlier about access, we're not trying to replicate what happens in buildings. We're trying to improve access. We're not trying to replace teachers. We're trying to improve options for students and their families and for schools. So as we go forward, 2 updates. One, interestingly enough, we all knew we were going to dip after that big year. These numbers were ran on April 3rd. We have now surpassed last year. So Virtual Virginia grew this year after last year's dip. We're just right above it, and summer is, we'll talk about summer session in just a moment, is part of that catalyst, some more opportunities to learn in a year-round setting. But do pay attention to the part-time and full-time. That's really important to know. Virtual Virginia has always been around for full-time and part-time online learners, but really we see a trend since that 21-22 peak of more students who are comfortable learning online, going back to buildings, and remaining part-time with Virtual Virginia, taking 1 or 2 courses. Any thoughts on that data? We look at it all the time. I'd be interested to hear from you guys. What do you see when, and those of you who run your own virtual schools in your divisions, are you seeing some of the same things? Are you seeing more students in buildings looking for more options? Are you seeing more full-time learners in your divisions taking courses? What is the lay of the land here this year? Because if I tried to predict this, I would have been wrong a year ago. So I want to hear from you all who are actually in the field doing the work.
Chesterfield, we've pretty consistently had a pool of students that are taking 1 or 2 courses for acceleration. We expected after that 21-22 year that our full-time students would drop off significantly. They dropped off, but not significantly. We still have many more full-time students than we did pre-21-22.
Absolutely. Tom, I'll get you later. Okay. So essentially, that's the full-time, part-time data and enrollment trends over the years. I mentioned summer session. Summer session, as you can see, has been growing year over year. Last year, this is summer session 23. I apologize for the note over there. So that's last year's enrollment. We went up 10%. Even while the program itself, the enrollments went down the previous year. Summer school remained rising, and this year we are about 30% over year where we were this time. We see summer learning growing, more options, more people comfortable with learning online. We make more courses available now than we have in the past. So we're really excited about summer session enrollment. We know that staffing can become a challenge in many school divisions over the summer. You still want students to continue their learning. We're proud of Virtual Virginia to continue to provide that. Any other thoughts on summer before I transition away from that? Well, I look forward to coming back in the fall with some interesting enrollment numbers for this summer. Right now, things are looking pretty good. And who knows? Everybody could stop enrolling today at Virtual Virginia, but it looks like this summer will again see an increase overall. Right.
Back to me.
Back to you, Dr. Foley.
It is back to me. Okay. I thought there was a little break in there. I was enjoying the whole conversation. So area 2.4C highlights the importance of high quality data focused professional development opportunities. The virtual learning team has increased focus on professional learning opportunities and resources through the development of our virtual learning hub, which includes a specific professional learning tenet. The hub features 3 main prongs: supporting virtual learning, planning for virtual teaching and learning, and professional learning in and of itself. Within the supporting virtual learning prong, topics designed to ensure the quality and effectiveness of virtual learning programs and instructions are offered. Within the planning for virtual teaching and learning prong, stakeholders will find resources highlighting ways educators can prepare to implement virtual learning opportunities efficiently and effectively for their students. In the third prong, you'll find a myriad of support, such as our virtual learning professional learning webinar series and our newest endeavor, the Leveraging the Power of Virtual Learning course. Together, the 3 prongs provide rich resources and information dedicated to leveraging quality virtual teaching and learning. As stated previously, the virtual learning team being committed to developing high quality professional learning opportunities for educators to support the third tenet of the youth section of educational technology that highlights that importance of professional learning, has a new course. It is a Canvas course titled Leveraging the Power of Virtual Learning. It consists of the 6 modules that are listed on the slide. Educators that enroll in the course are afforded the opportunity to better understand the foundation of virtual learning, best practices, and ways to ensure they're providing effective virtual learning experiences to their students. The initial iteration of the course was a small facilitated pilot with 10 educators. We really wanted to get a lot of feedback about the course prior to just releasing it as an asynchronous offering. The newest offering is that asynchronous offering course with rolling enrollment. Currently 36 educators are enrolled in the course. The course was developed in collaboration with WHRO, and it's being offered in Canvas through the aid of our Virtual Virginia team. So what a great collaborative effort of everyone to get this course up and rolling. Educators that successfully complete all 6 modules receive 18 hours of professional learning points. And Dr. Mott will now provide some information regarding professional learning at Virtual Virginia.
That's our 4th program at Virtual Virginia. We talked about the K through 12 instruction program. We talked about the professional, the statewide learning management system. We discussed summer learning, and now our 4th program at Virtual Virginia is professional learning, providing flexible options to educators. Is there any way we can close that window?
It's bothering.
It's really anticlimactic, but essentially, I just want to share some unique data about our professional learning enrollments thus far this year. Our number 1 is our blended learning conference. We do an online conference at Virtual Virginia. This was our 4th year doing it. Right at 1,000 participants this year. We're really excited about that. And it's highlighting the work of educators across Virginia. And that's why we love that conference so much is you have your usual people who present, you see them at all the conferences, and then you have new faces and people who are trying new things and innovative things. And we're giving them a platform to share that. And we were really excited about this year's conference, and it was our number 1 most popular professional learning offering this year. And then the others are related to the program we just discussed, the statewide LMS. Every year over year, we build a community around using that resource, and we offer credentials for folks in school divisions. Those were our numbers 2 and 3. Number 4 was a VDOE course created by the Department of Ed, supporting teachers in school divisions. And then 4th was our LMS technology credentials. So again, you see that the professional learning, the opportunities, making them available to K through 12 educators from anywhere via the learning management system has been popular this year, over 11,000 enrollments as of early April. We're really excited about that number, and we're really looking forward to next year because we know this is, in many cases, the preferred modality of professional learning going forward. And you guys know in school divisions, the days of finding substitutes and getting a room at central office and catering it, it's a little more difficult these days to logistically pull that off. But you can do high quality professional learning either in an online or blended or hybrid format and have a lot of success and have a lot of interest in it. And again, the teachers get to access those resources after that professional learning too, which is great. Another highlight here that's kind of obscured is the VBOS program. We know that's been a multi-year rollout of that platform. And again, building community and understanding and sharing resources around that resource is ongoing. It won't just be a one and done. It'll be something that continues for likely the last 2 years and probably years going forward as they continue to update and make advancements to VBOS. This year, you can't see it. Total number of educators enrolled in the Commonwealth in that course alone is 800. This year, I believe it was just short of 100.
97.
Okay. So that's great to see as they continue to build that community around that just project. You can do that in a way that makes it flexible for participants. So professional learning in your divisions, I am curious to hear a little bit more about that. Are you guys finding yourselves adopting more digital and online or blended modalities in professional learning? I see heads shaking already. Tell me how has that been over the last couple of years? What have you seen as far as challenges?
Let's go to the next slide and you're right on it.
Uh-oh.
It takes it a second to
Okay.
catch up. If it's on the computer, it'll.
There we go. So let's talk about the register. I can do it. Okay. As you talk about the ed tech plan and think about those tenets of that plan, how do you leverage the power of virtual learning to increase opportunities for students and educators? So I'll start with the first one. What ways are you implementing virtual learning in your instructional programs? We're kind of stepping back to K through 12 on this one a little bit. What ways are you guys, and there's no right or wrong answer to this at all, because it's different in divisions, it's different from school to school, it's different from student to student, let's be real. So in what ways are you guys implementing virtual learning programs in your divisions? Or what ways are you seeing it implemented? That would be valuable to the conversation as well.
No, Pulaski County, the big one we've been using right now, it's something called Lexia, but that's truly been big push for virtual learning with us.
So a high quality instructional material connecting students and teachers in that safe, secure space. You know, one of the things, I have 3 elementary age students, 2 elementary, my oldest would take offense to that. I see them using a lot of digital resources, but they're all over, they're going to different places and they're kind of scattered a bit. So it's good that you guys have found your high
So
quality.
is Lexia, because of the All In Virginia initiative, is everybody else using Lexia Ignite and CERN?
I guess the growth of it is because of All In. We did have a pilot the year before, but All In really kind of helped supercharge it.
Do you intend to use it all the way until the next, it's funded until the end of next year?
I believe at this point, yes. I don't want to speak out of turn, but I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure that's where we're headed.
The intention is to continue it. And that is a program that's available during the summer. So please, I hope we're all communicating with our families that Alexia, Ignite, and CERN, and whatever programs you have adopted will be available to families. So we don't have a summer gap, or it gives an opportunity for that tutoring to happen during the summer as well.
The divisions sure do appreciate you guys taking the lead and providing us with some of those resources. One of the things that we see right now is a refinement of the resources, because the variety of options for families and students are just tremendous. We're actually trying to get our staff to get smarter and more specific and detailed on a refined set of resources that have been vetted and meet the necessary curriculum in the SOLs that we're set out to tackle.
It's a great point.
See if I can ask a question around an issue. With the Virginia School Board Association, I co-chair a task force on students in schools and challenging environments. And we did what we call our state of reports. We looked at every school division in the Commonwealth. And one of the things that we found with how we define schools and challenging environments, that those schools often had large numbers of substitutes. And so as you're having this conversation around, one, being able to utilize the virtual learning and technology to support student learning, and also speaking to the professional development aspect, and anybody have any sense of, when we have large numbers of substitutes and they're trying to get onboarded to be able to support teaching in the classroom, anyone have any sense how the tech plan or the virtual learning can support that? Is it something that's missed? I'm just trying to get a sense of what kind of ways that the virtual learning and the work that's being done can support those students in those schools that find that they have that large number of long-term subs. Or
Now, are you speaking of the day-to-day sub or the long-term sub who's replacing a classroom?
well, I mean, obviously, the long-term sub will be there long, but we see both. So you see some instances where I can say even in my division in Norfolk, where oftentimes you may even see it year after year. So a student can go through elementary, middle, high school, or go through grades, and they will, because of challenges around teacher vacancies, they could go 3 years, 4 years, 5 years without having a full set of
Professionally
In
licensed teacher.
person.
Professionally licensed.
Okay.
Appropriately
I
licensed
wanted
and
to take it
endorsed.
correct.
And adore, yeah, you have
Yeah.
people who are provisionally licensed or under licensed, yeah.
Yes.
Go ahead, Dr. Wallace.
So I'm curious to hear first from the school divisions who are experiencing the issue and how you train your substitutes to use the virtual learning or what barriers you might have.
Yeah, when we are we obviously have a lot of HR efforts related to, and initiatives related to getting teachers in the classroom, whether they're remote teachers, that we hire from around the country or whatever. But when we are with an annual sub that's for the whole year, we leverage the learning management system heavily. Like we have like if I'm a substitute, I am tagged to an experienced veteran teacher. I'm a co-teacher in their course. We basically say what this teacher's doing and this is what you're doing. And it allows them to, share assignments, share work when they're working together and planning. We're not asking that sub to create assignments. We're just tagging them in the learning management system to a veteran teacher, saying, you do what they do, and giving them opportunity to collaborate around what that looks like.
And I have a great story. And Lincoln, I false flagged you Region 6 early. I'm actually gonna do a Region 6 story. This number of part-time online students, they're in a building and they may be taking one class at Virtual Virginia. They may be in just the situation Rodney was talking about, where it's fourth period, we don't have a chemistry teacher. So Virtual Virginia has part of our model is we will have a live teacher during that time with those students. And my success story in Region 6 was they had somebody who lived in that community, wanted to be a teacher, was marching towards that effort, but they weren't appropriately licensed and endorsed at the time. This was our last year teaching that class, that chemistry class in that building. And we visited that school a dozen times last couple of years just to, check in, part of our onboarding. And that's a super success. Yes, they will not be using us in fourth period anymore. That's a major success for that school division. They provided a bridge, they leveraged the virtual learning that was available to them, and they made it happen. So we're seeing that model, and it's more than just one place in Region 6. It's all over the
seeing a
state.
lot of that too in Region 8 for a couple of reasons. Obviously, teacher shortages. So if you've got a course that needs to be taught, just like Brian's talking about, you've got Virtual Virginia there to do that at the same time every day. So it fits into your schedule. But also if you have someone who maybe wants to teach, but they don't quite have enough to even get a provisional license, then if you can hire that person to come in, it allows that person to work on things such as classroom management because they're the person that's actually there physically with the students. So they get to sort of work on that. Another thing that we're doing, not necessarily tied to Virtual Virginia, but we don't have a lot of industry in our area. So we want our children to have internship opportunities. So a lot of our internships have become more remote and digital. So where they're able to work with some technology companies and do some internship, have some internship opportunities that they don't have to physically be there to do. They're able to do that remotely. And that's been a big deal for us.
That sounds like something fun.
Well, and I think that's a byproduct of the extended school closure is more people are just comfortable. And there's more opportunities out there. There's more options now. Number one, we have to make sure they're safe and secure, right? Always, right? We're not going to send our students off to learn in places we haven't vetted. I believe somebody said that earlier. But, we also at Virtual Virginia, I said 40 years, things have changed for us too, right? We have these different models now where we're sitting down in front of kids during the day. And one of the greatest things about that is you can bring anybody in that room that you trust. That mentor in that room could be a coach, could be a member of the community, could be a retired teacher who's not ready to jump back into teaching 24/7, right? So we give schools flexibilities in the way they want to partner with us and staff that individual that we think is viable long-term.
So
Yeah, we just.
Brian, just as a follow-up question, because it's been popping in my mind, you must have read my mind. About how many scenarios or cases do you see where there's that classroom use of Virtual Virginia to replace?
So we call it the teacher shortage model. And this year there's at least 25 classrooms. It changes because sometimes somebody does come in that door in November and they say adios. wish them the best, right? Or we transition with them as they move. So at least 30 settings where that is happening across the state. And we're talking about AP, dual enrollment. This is not just, Algebra 1 or chemistry like I referenced earlier. These are things that school divisions either can't staff or can't even offer that they are able to staff and offer by leveraging our program.
And then as a follow-up to Meg, are you seeing the same kind of scenario with the other MOPS? With traditional through the MOP program, not Virtual Virginia, but.
We're not seeing it used as much in that flexible manner if they're working as a MOP, because then they're supplying both the teacher and the digital content. Many of the MOPs also, as a provider, provide digital content, and we see a lot of school divisions being very flexible, using their own teachers, using a mentor, and they're using the digital content in that way. So it doesn't exactly mirror the MOP program. So those providers can be acting as a MOP, or they can also, when they're not acting as a MOP, provide that digital content. Usually with the MOPs, the strength of that program is the flexible enrollment. So we see a lot of school divisions, if they, a student, military student, other students that for some reason can't or no longer want to stay in the brick and mortar, a MOP is a great program to use for that, because they do utilize that as the enrollment that's very flexible.
Any other notes on implementing virtual learning in your instructional programs? Like I said, good food for thought, good to hear ways to hear about you all are using it, how we've done it traditionally. Like I said, it can change. Any other thoughts? Well, I mean, we can sit here all day and talk about needs.
We actually need to talk about the all of use because we're running out of time.
Yes. Okay. So are we?
Any other thoughts about use in general? I like the, you talked about the refinement of resources and being smarter, and that is the reason why we added design as a pillar, is that we do see that educators get access. Teachers know how to use technology in general. They know how to understand, what a smart board is, how to use the LMS. And we would like everybody to spend the next 5 years stepping back and refining that. I want to use this tool at this time, which is why we have our design pillar. And something that struck me last year when I went to CETA was our keynote speaker said a teacher has 1,500 instructional resources that they can deploy at any time to a student in general. Like when you just kind of go with what's in your ClassLink or your Clever, what's on the internet, what's your, all your textbook, your worksheets, all the things. And it's like, how do we get our educators to decide the best tool quickly and spend less time thinking about how to deploy it and get it into the classroom? So we are now going to do a little more activity-driven things. And I'm going to introduce now Ms. Keisha Tennessee, our computer science coordinator, who's going to talk to us about our brand new computer science standards that are up for draft.
Well, good morning, everyone. As Calypso Gilstrap stated, my name is Keisha Tennessee. I am the K-12 computer science coordinator here at the Department of Education. So when we think about design, as you see pointed out here, it's about high expectations for our student learners and delivering best-in-class standards. And so thinking a little bit back to some of our conversation earlier about broadband or even professional development, or even things as far as like how students access virtual learning opportunities with their computing devices. We have to understand that all of that is through the building blocks of our academic subject areas. And when we think about computer science, it is an academic domain that really allows students the opportunity to become wise and informed consumers of technology, but most importantly, they get the opportunity to become creators, innovators, and designers of technology. And so today I would like to spend some time and discuss our updated proposed draft of the 2024 Computer Science Standards of Learning. As you all are aware, in 2016, the General Assembly approved legislation that required computer science and computational thinking, including computer coding, inside of the standards of learning. So up within our standard of learning, as far as our Code of Virginia, the standards are in its review cycle because it is a 7-year cycle. And so last week, we presented to the Virginia Board of Education our proposed draft of the 2024 Computer Science Standards of Learning. They have been accepted for first review. And so now we are entering into our 30-day public comment window. And so I wanted to share with you all here on the VDOE's website is where you can find information about the review process. We are accepting public comments through various forms, such as the online form. A link is provided there on the website, as well as direct email submissions to VDOE.computerscience@doe.virginia.gov, as well as in-person and virtual public hearings. The dates are scheduled are available on the website. But in addition to providing these opportunities to the public to give feedback on the proposed draft standards, we also like to take opportunities such as today to garner the feedback of those in the room. So we will have some time, about 10 to 15 minutes, for you to look at the proposed draft and provide some feedback. So what you see in front of you, there is a folder, a binder, a white binder that has a comparison document that outlines the 2017 standards and the 2024 standards. There is also a yellow folder in which we have the elementary in that corner. Right in front of Amy, I believe, is the middle school standards, and Mr. Mott there, Brian, has the high school standards. But before we get into the activity, let me provide you a little bit of context about how the standards are organized. So there are standards for grades K through 8, as well as our 3 standalone courses, the middle school elective, and then our 3 high school courses, Computer Science Foundations, Computer Science Principles, and our Computer Science Programming, that is non-CTE course, and all of those courses are also available on Virtual Virginia. The standards are organized by 6 content strands, and those content strands are very important to allow people to see the multiple domains within computer science. They are listed on the screen: algorithms and programming, computing systems, cybersecurity, data and analysis, impacts of computing and networks, and the internet. So even earlier, as we discussed broadband, that is an invention of itself, right? The networks themselves. So you have to have people that understand the connectivity from the ground up to provide access to the public. And so now we will enter into our activity window. This is also a good time if you would like to get some refreshments. As you guys have been sitting in your seats, you can also do this while the activity. As indicated earlier, you will be in 3 groups. So we have that corner group there, maybe the 3 of you there, the group right there for middle school, and then the 2 of you for high school. I would like you to take some time, look at the standards, identify 5 key concepts or skills that you see students will have mastered or learned at the completion, or at least the completion of what you reviewed within the 10 minutes, that you find vital in the standards. This will serve as sort of a foundational point of reference of what is of importance within the standards that you all have assessed. There will be other opportunities to provide additional feedback, and I will have a slide that will garner those instructions as well. So again, you have your yellow folders, which you will have some time to review the standards, identify your top 5, so have a consensus amongst the group. You may place them on the sticky notes if you would like to use sticky notes, and then place them on that big post-it up front if you like to get around and move. And then we'll have a group discussion at the end. All right, so I will call time and stand back up front, 10 minutes.
And are we each doing one lap?
Stravi, you were those?
So you were there.
Hi, Rod. Good to see you.
This middle here?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, you're fine. I'm gonna move this. I don't mess it up.
I'll see you in technology.
Are these the middle school? I missed. Oh, I got elementary. Oh. Amy said I want.
All right. So I got you. This is just everything. I should listen better. I was listening. I didn't understand. Okay, so we're looking at this. 5 important concepts. I'm just looking at
The big picture.
I know, I'm like, okay, 5, right? 5, okay.
And feel free to mark on the documents.
This is what's. So we can do
She sent us the picture for that.
I like this one. Sorry.
This is the existing. Oh, okay.
Okay.
Everyone's security.
That's it, right?
Oh, okay.
Thanks for confirming that,
Mine
Diane.
is like the middle school that might help with time.
Okay.
Okay, so what is this? This is middle school.
Sixth,
Okay.
this is sixth grade and seventh.
Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
Okay.
like literally on data.
It's in there.
Okay.
Underserved.
Yes, you saw we were already
Over
done.
here.
Yeah, maybe
Okay.
just for time, just
Okay.
unless you guys just want to look at sixth grade.
Trying to explain that to my children.
Seventh grade and sixth
They
grade.
don't want to be around
I
seventh
don't
graders.
have those investments to worry
My son's like
about.
36 years old.
A responsible digital citizen starts very early, you know, so all of that under cybersecurity, I might make up.
Think about,
And segmented, and
you know what I mean? Make
those are the things I did during. I fit wires myself. And I did my
What's the process
Yes.
for reporting?
But
to
it's really
8%?
good enough to do in 100-year-old classroom.
Very behavioral.
Yes.
But I did
What
it
you do,
anyway.
when you
They're all-
impact others, as well as being safe, I
Yes,
mean,
yes.
all of that's behavioral.
Three
Is that the
segments,
only one that's?
one for Wells Fargo, so that we don't jump into their world.
No, in
One for
every
my
stage of
personal
learning now,
devices and one.
focusing and pushing on the data analysis, so learning.
Much the same for my family. Yep. Yep, I was in the attic
Resources,
trying
you
to
know,
Yeah.
cable
and-
across the
but
attic
That's what
and
I
skill.
did, and then
trying
I.
to fish it down the, yes.
That's what I
Put it
did.
drop in.
It was
And there's
not.
across all disciplines.
It's something that I moved on my network to a different place in my. In the middle of it. Use. Whenever I was.
Troubleshooting,
Yeah, I was gonna
analysis.
say,
integration.
They.
Like I don't know, this is not my area, but I think
So I
some of the
use
existing solutions.
Yeah, I use their
Still
space
interactive
to come down, so
predict
the
test.
the cables here.
Right now, they're supposed to create a plan.
Jack, right beside it, right?
Yeah.
And then I put the- so we don't have a pantry, so we
Good
have
to
like a
me.
cabinet that we use as a pantry because it's an old house and it just didn't have a pantry. So we have a cabinet that we use. So I.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll skip a
Four lines. So I had to go like to the basement and then from the basement back.
Yep.
It was.
Yeah, I was in the crawl space as well, feeding something.
And it was like July and I was sweaty.
Step approach to missions.
It was,
Yep.
yeah,
Don't.
it was something, but I felt super accomplished, like I've done that in my career. Not because I was a person who fished, but because you, as a tech director.
Fourth grade and see how they expand for a minute.
To like terminate the jacks. And what you would get was like a wire sticking out. And I was like, okay, that's not terminating.
No.
So then you go to Lowe's and you buy a bunch of stuff and you come back and you terminate because you got to go live. You got EMRs that have to be put online. And so, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what other
So is it
standards look.
45 on
like-
the end or
like-
just
It was
like
nothing,
just
just a wire.
I mean,
Just a wire.
the
And so me and
cybersecurity,
my tech guys, like
protecting
I would go
sensitive
in
data
and check
from
where
malware.
we stand, what is going on. And they're like.
General, right?
And then you guys get them back. I'm like, oh, no. So we would go to Lowe's. And so I learned very quickly how to fish wires and terminate.
Have one.
We would manage the.
I've given us one.
So I was like, I felt super accomplished when I was
Sure.
done.
Here we
Yeah.
go.
Me too,
He's
yeah.
happy
It's
to
just the
do that.
dexterity, finger dexterity, to try to get the
I
wires.
can get these.
And then there's like
The
print.
right little spot.
You buy the little, I went to Lowe's.
Multiple
Cable and.
cases to test
Started
program
with a guy- we started with a guy we were gonna have there.
I'm just taking a single case, but the more cases that.
Yeah.
Try to.
Try to search.
I mean, why?
People do it all the time.
Why Cat 5
Can I put data down, usage of
Yeah.
data?
And I know there's people that do that.
Right. Why would I want?
Just within your.
And he just like looked at me and said,
And if we didn't have application in other areas.
and like I literally sent him out the door and I just kind of turned around and said, I'm good.
I think there's so many people that just love the word future proof and
Right.
want to have a conversation to be able to use that word.
Investigating.
Maybe that was it, but
Right. I don't-
people, yeah, like to.
I'm just like,
Yeah,
it makes
that's
no
identified.
difference. It makes no difference. Why do I need?
Real world
So,
problems.
like, it's just like,
That's where we're at.
Frustrating to have that conversation.
That's just, I mean, I think like, and that kind of almost ties
I'm
everything.
a customer and I'm asking for Cat 6. Can I please just have that?
Experiences with computer science, like what is it? You know, again, it kind of dips into a lot of.
Yeah, we got Steve notes right here.
Right, you know, connecting
Yours.
again to
I
what's
think
really
one I keep
happening
seeing
in
is,
the real world for students.
In the spirit of open coding, which is
Out of.
educators
What's up
level
with these?
true instruction in our classroom.
Okay.
Yeah, having kids.
Basis. I'm never gonna use this again, but you won't, you know, in some way you are, so I think that's probably really important. I want us to be a natural connection, not just in the real world, but even across disciplines, yeah, you know.
So must be such right.
We have 3 minutes remaining.
See,
3 minutes remaining.
Coding language.
Because they're coming to book.
I'll be glad to write, so this is not my
Oh
area.
my gosh.
Collaboration, creativity to come up with
Yes.
design of the program.
I had a buddy who started off
in advance.
They see in Verizon. He was told that all employees of Verizon, even though he was a computer programmer, he might be on a bucket truck one day, so our
Program
boot
design.
camp is coming into our organization is training on a bucket truck and safety and all that.
Once these things are completely sticky on the back, that's why it's
Lead
confusing.
now, what do people do? But you might be on.
You just follow the directions.
I thought that was very nice to think that, like that.
Was a critical thing. I mean, there's a lot of tests, like problem solving,
There's a lot of
testing.
troubleshooting. Programs, do a series of troubleshooting steps.
This was always a part
Just
of
say
me.
troubleshooting.
I know.
This
This
is
is
really
like,
important
this is the problem.
I don't like, how do you solve a problem, but I am, you have to solve.
Well, yeah.
How do you acquire what you don't have to solve, you know, like.
This is a hard.
I'm not a complainer. I
You're
just take,
computer science.
I just let it be until it dies. I know it's a.
With Adria.
You know, it literally has to die before they give you another.
That's your fault.
I'll go put those on. I've never seen those before.
Let you be vandalized.
Yeah.
To use this.
Just
Just
go
go
to
put them there.
Yeah, so let you be vandalized.
Yeah.
Beautiful thing.
Yeah.
It's brain power there.
Something else.
Try and attempt to read the
It's time to post the post-its if you want to post the post-its.
and have it
Oh.
still.
Or whatever.
Tried it on my phone.
Yeah, it's
Sticky notes.
Maybe so. Maybe so.
You'd be surprised how many pictures she has. I go out.
Think of taking the most. Could be sending it.
Emails all the time. The children know
That high
that.
resolution pictures. Take longer to get, yeah.
Some of it's active, that's like.
Gonna be.
It's nothing so good.
Yeah, I'll go put these up.
The other
I started there. Very nice feedback.
The basic.
All right, our 10 minutes,
Yeah.
our 10 minutes are up.
Your chat should be still taking.
Not on City Hall.
Just the
Yeah,
AI
but
thing.
fortunately, with.
So AI will do a lot of that stuff for you. You don't even know how to do it. It's like a calculator.
Yeah, well.
You can still do it.
That's what I'm. Siri or any of that stuff. I mean,
Calypso's great.
Tracked enough.
Under my.
Start focusing.
I would have done the same.
Yeah, you would have. All right, we are going to start our reflection component, again, just being cognizant of the time. We're gonna start with high school. And for high school to share out the 5 things that they deem to be relevant and of value and that they notice within the proposed draft standards. High school, would you guys?
I mean, they all are, right? I mean, it's hard to sit here, but one that we really liked, for the sake of time, was CSFDA4A. That was, make questions that require data collection. Excuse me. Formulate questions that require data analysis. I mean, that's such a big idea, right? To like have the learner think about questions and also think about questions that rely specifically on analyzing data, right? That they can actually think through that process. And so that's one that we like. I mean, they were all good. None of these you can look at and say, oh, strike that out. But that's one that we really liked from the high school side.
That's a good one to point out. That also has a good core content tie-in with mathematics and the data cycle. All right, middle school. I guess Brian has set the stage. Let's do one for a time. So one that really stood out to you.
So there were several, but this is a process of real world applications. And it's teaching the students the mental thought process, the engagement that you're going to go through from the creativity of the design all the way through the testing, the implementation to the troubleshooting of it for a final project. And it just teaches them real world applications of things that they're going to be doing every day.
That is great to hear. I know our Computer Science Education Advisory Board will be delighted that that is something that you pulled out, because that was something that was very important throughout the entire revision process that they wanted to see in this new proposed draft. Thank you. All right, elementary.
I just wanted to say cybersecurity, just because we opened this up and immediately there on the kindergarten standards of cybersecurity, and we're talking about things like the acceptable use policy. Having them know, hey, these are the rules of the road that early. I really like that. We also talked about, communicating process for reporting behaviors, and how to do that kind of thing. So I think it's a great start with it. And then the other one that we talked about was the impacts of computing and just, what was it? The world.
Oh, yeah, let's say we did authentic real world problem solving using the data, really all of the thread together and across disciplines, how important to understand and learn, how do you look at data? How do you know it's real? How do you know it's valid? And then how do you implement it to solve problems?
Well, thank you. And including the cybersecurity, that was another area of focus, considering in 2017, we reviewed the 2017 standards, and from our review, we realized that it could be more depth for 2024. And also considering that Virginia is one of the few states that actually pulls cybersecurity out as its own content strand. A number of the other states, they might embed it or include it within networking or some other area. We really wanted to make sure that we really emphasize the content and the skills level within cybersecurity. And Diane also played a role in making some review and giving some feedback as well. So thank you all for your feedback and your engagement today. I would like to share, here's some 3 questions to think about if you have opportunity to provide feedback in one of the other 4 forms that I mentioned earlier. Just think about maybe what were some of your initial thoughts, any changes or additions that we should consider during this public comment window, and what additional supports, perhaps say your educators or even students may need to meet what we're setting as the expectation in the benchmark for computer science for all students in the Commonwealth. And just to give you kind of the parameters, we're accepting feedback until May 31st. So again, share this information out with your colleagues, your school divisions, because we really want to garner as much feedback as possible and engage everyone in this process. So thank you for your time. I will now share the podium with Ryan Chappney. You're welcome.
Morning. My name is Ryan Champney, and I am the Instructional Technology Specialist for the Office of Educational Technology and Classroom Innovation. My role is to help and support ICRTs, school librarians, and the digital learning integration standards through the VLAC technology. I'm here today to talk to you about the Unified Direct Access approach for design, which includes GoOpenVA, our open educational resource initiative, Virtual Virginia, our partner, a VDOE which provides Canvas, our state's learning management system, and our VDOE website, which provides up-to-date education information throughout the Commonwealth of Virginia. One of the ways that we are unified in the approach connects directly to the professional learning within the VDOE itself. The Office of Educational Technology and Classroom Innovation has teamed up with our Human Resources Department to create an internal professional learning opportunity to help our staff become more familiar with and establish experts in using our state's LMS platform, Canvas. This creates a direct connection that allows our internal offices to help outside the agency individuals with design elements in their own Canvas courses. This helps to build, quote, design understanding and design support, end quote. Within the agency, it creates a direct connection to the VDOE's education technology plan, as mentioned previously by Dr. Foley. Because the statewide LMS is used both inside and outside of the agency, we need to ensure that our own workforce is trained to both deliver content and help support education leaders. We have options for both synchronous and asynchronous courses that allow participants to grow into leveled and structured users. By the end of each level, participants will be able to create an artifact and will be provided with a badge that they can then place into their evaluation folders for their employee evaluations with their supervisors. This connects back to our EdTech plan of 3.1E, develop and maintain instructionally sound implementation of all education technology resources and systems. We develop clear communities of practice for educational leaders at all levels that act as a hub for setting vision, understanding research, and sharing practices. Our office is also in charge of one of the VDOE's latest projects called Activate, which is a podcast series provided by the VDOE and in partnership with Virtual Virginia and PBS Blue Ridge, and in collaboration with the Virginia Society for Technology and Education, also known as VISTE. Within the newly designed VDOE website, the Virginia Department of Education shares the most up-to-date information to the Commonwealth of Virginia. The VDOE works in partnership with Virginia's 132 school divisions to support and improve teaching and learning, set high expectations for all students, and promote student safety, well-being, and health. Within this unified design approach, we as an office look to develop and maintain instructionally sound implementation of all educational technology resources and systems. This includes virtual and in-person learning, implementation of frameworks for education technology, and support for integration for all students. Finally, the VDOE has developed and recommended to the State Board of Education on April 25th, 2024, the model policy concerning internet safety, with input as required by law from individuals and organizations throughout the Commonwealth and beyond. To assist with this policy, we look back to point 2.3a, support students, educators, leaders, and families with resources for the purpose of advancing the goal of safe use of media and technology. With this, a council is formed with the knowledge and perspectives of teachers, researchers, law enforcement, nonprofit organizations, as well as local, state, and federal representatives. The purpose of this council is to advance the goal of safe use of media and technology by students and teachers in public, elementary, and secondary schools within the Commonwealth. This document has been developed and designed for local school boards in the Commonwealth to better ensure the internet safety for all students and teachers in the local divisions. The draft was accepted under first review, and our office is currently accepting feedback about the policy until June of 2024. And now I would like to turn back over the presentation to Mr. Reggie Fox, who will continue with our discussion activity. Thank you.
Thank you, Ryan. We talked a lot about and presented a lot of information on ways to integrate instructional technology, virtual learning, and the innovative programs that we have in the Commonwealth. And we want us to solicit your support with continuing to design and develop in the way of making sure that we have students and educators who have access, and then of course that we use these innovative programs that we have, and then we continue to design high quality experiences that support this educational technology plan. So I just wanted to bring back these three tenets: access, use, and design, as we present this final piece of data that's included with our Speak Up survey, which is happening right now. This closes on May 31st. So we encourage you to take back to your school divisions any information about the Speak Up survey. We certainly encourage you, if you haven't implemented that, if you haven't had students and families take that survey, please do so. Some interesting data that comes out of just as of last week from the responses that we have, you see on the screen. I won't read all of it, but it is directly related to access, use, and design. We see there's a high percentage of use of our instructional programs that relate to virtual learning. We see professional growth. Our educators report that they're using virtual learning. Brian talked about, not being able to manage on-site professional development and how we have utilized virtual learning to enhance professional growth of our educators. And then ways to measure engagement. We're looking at, from the students, a variety of devices that we have in their hands, as well as they're able to use technology to search information and complete projects, take tests, facilitate information online. They did indicate that in some ways the technology, there's slow internet connectivity or a need to unblock important websites that might be used for instruction. So that's from a student's perspective. Then these last two bullets just show the correlation between the administrators, the educators, and the students and families, and how we strike consistency there. So again, the Speak Up survey closes on May 31st, so we are still encouraging you to take that. We are looking at our next meeting to be a virtual meeting in November, and we will certainly communicate information about that date in the fall. Our virtual programs mailbox will be open until this Friday, May 3rd. And again, we are always soliciting questions and comments, again, from our audience, our live audience and YouTube channel, as well as you committee members taking this back to your various regions. So do we have any final questions or comments? Yes, sir.
Just a quick question, a quicker comment. What was the URL for the Speak Up survey for the?
I'll go back to that slide. It is projecttomorrow.questionpro.com/Virginia registration 23.
Okay.
And that is published on our website.
Yeah, that's what I was.
Yes, it's been in our newsletters.
Appreciate it.
So we appreciate your support for that.
And my quick comment, I wanted to thank Brian. I think since our last meeting, I had reached out to do a school board classroom visit of Virtual Virginia. And I appreciated being able to do that. And as appropriate, I'm recommending to other school board members to do that as well. It was very enlightening watching the teachers and the students do their work in that Virtual Virginia setting. So I just wanted to acknowledge that and thank him for arranging that for me. Absolutely.
Absolutely. Thank you. Well, the hour is 11:59. And we thank you for your commitment to this committee. We look forward to working with you and continue as we end this school year. All the best to you and have a great day today.
And a safe trip home.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks everyone for coming. Really appreciate it.
Is that little black box gonna go away now? That's the question. It's gonna stay there all day.
I don't see here. Because I cannot.
I'm like, it's not like.
Oh, I was looking down.
Stuck with the camera. I don't see any way on the screen to get rid of it.
The American Academy.
This